folks, and welcome to this week's show. And as you can see, back by popular demand, it's the same cast as the last time we did the jam. We've got Steve, and we've got the mighty Kirk, the return of the magnificent Kirk.
Thank you.
So, as we're just going to be dead simple show today. We're just going to go through our top 10 jam songs, not necessarily singles, but our top 10 jam songs. So there's obviously a huge range to go from, sort of the punkier days to the soulful days by the end. So quite a range of great songs. Let's be honest. I mean, I genuinely think Snap is possibly the greatest compilation album that's ever been put out there with all the singles and all extra various tracks. So one of the greatest bands we've ever come by, and that's all we're going to do for today, folks. So we'll keep it short, simple, and hopefully sweet. Send in your lists as well at the end of the show. And before we carry on, just remember, subscribe to the channel, because a lot of you are watching the show, making comments, and not bother subscribing. So please do. So we're just going to dive into it. Last show, if you want to watch it, we discussed how we got into the jam. So we're not going to repeat ourselves because it gets a bit tedious. We're just going to go straight from 10 to 1 in order. And we're going to start with you, Steve. What do you have in at number 10?
In at number 10, it'll probably be a bit of a surprise. I think some of mine will be, and I haven't deliberately gone for that. I've literally put my top 10 favourite jam songs down. I thought it was quite easy to do this.
Wow.
Yeah, I found it quite easy because I do have songs which are my favourites. And it's a later version of the jam, anthology, if you like, and it comes with the backing vocals of Jenny Mateus, who's the lead singer of the Bell Stars, and a video which I know a lot of people didn't like. It didn't get to number 1. It reached number 2 in September 1982, and it's The Bitterest Pill I Ever Had to Swallow. That's number 10. I just love this song. It couldn't dislodge Eye of the Tiger by Survivor,
Which is a great song as well, to be fair.
Well, it was then overtaken by Pass the Dutchie by Musical Youth. Exactly. But yeah, the bitterest pill. I just loved it, and it was a bitterest pill because obviously we were just finding out that the jam were going to split up. That Weller had other ambitions, and that Bruce and Rick were going to be cast aside, and left to find a new band and new musical options and new careers because Paul decided he was off. But they left us with some really great songs, as we're going to find out from you guys and me as well with our selections. But I just loved this. I thought, and I felt it was a bitterest pill, Paul, what you did by disbanding the jam. Probably with hindsight, the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've never come back, the right thing to do,
Yeah.
even though we'd all love to have seen it.
Yeah, I think it is the right thing to do.
I think, them and the Smiths probably made the right decision, although it wasn't for the one to try with the Smiths. But yeah, I love this. Paul Weller wrote the song, produced by Peter Wilson, and B-side was Pity Poor Alfie and Fever. Not a great fan of the Fever song. Pity Poor Alfie, okay, but yeah, I think The Bitterest Pill. That's. I think it's a solid number 10. I don't think it deserves to be any higher. But a really good cover as well. And if you bought the single, it's just like black and white single. Of course, anything black and white for me gets a 10 out of 10. But it was the singer of Department S on the front cover, which I never knew until I started.
I never knew that. No.
Vaughn Toulouse is the guy who's standing looking out of the window on the front cover. So yeah, fantastic. That's it for me, a great song, and that goes in at number 10 for me.
Great choice, and probably a forgotten one in some respects.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
A confession here: I bought Eye of the Tiger at the time, so I do apologize.
It's your fault.
So yeah, great songs. Kirk, what have you got at number 10?
The Modern World.
Oh, class.
So that comes in at my number 10. I think, just as singles go, well, probably for the album sleeve, just the way they're standing and just the mod look was starting to come in. They were just starting, with the arrows on the jumper and things like that. So underneath the Westway as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That's where it is. So, it was just a great. The punk side was starting to end. You could tell there was something a bit deeper coming in the music. So number 10 for me, The Modern World. Great. And I just loved to hear. I think on the tube they played it. I think
Yes,
they
they did on the last show.
And absolutely superb. So it was still on their set list.
Last
great
show,
song.
right.
You know, it's not like a lot of bands who discard their early singles, you know, because they think, oh, you know, they're doing sound where the band's going now. But yeah, very firm favourite.
I love that little pictures of Lily thing it's got in it, which is obviously linked to that as well. So it carries on that sort of mod.
You know what the song is as soon as it starts. It's great. You know, they've always said about a song within the first few seconds, you know, if it captures you, and it certainly does that. So yeah,
great song.
Wonderful song.
Great choice, love it. Well, my number 10, I've gone with Pretty Green. Great opener on sound effects. I absolutely love it. One of my favorite ever albums, and it's a great album opener. I just love the bass. I mean, the rhythm section of the band, Rick and Bruce, are just fantastic. And when the bass kicks in, it's really thumps in as well, doesn't it? And then Rick does his little hi-hat thing. It's just fantastic. It's really catchy. Lyrically, of course, it's quite dated now because nobody has a pocket of green anymore, do they? You know, but it's in a funny sort of way that sort of endears it even more. It's like a little time capsule, isn't it? Which like the Kinks would have done in the '60s and that sort of thing. So it's definitely got real echoes of all of that. And lyrically, well, it's just brilliant, which I'm going to talk about a lot more later on. But yeah, Pretty Green. It's just a fantastic tune. Great chorus. I'm amazed it wasn't a single. Certainly in the UK, it would have been a great choice for me. So yeah, my number 10, Pretty Green, of course, which then inspired a clothing company. Steve, what have you got at number 9?
Number 9, Alan Shearer's number, is maybe another obscure choice. It might be, it might not be. I'll find out when I hear your selections. But it's a song which, again, is got interesting undertones and an interesting story behind it. It was inspired by the English writer Clive Barker's horror story, The Forbidden, where the Candyman kills to preserve his reputation so he can haunt the dreams of children. The book was adapted into a movie, of course, in 1992, but Paul Weller, prior to writing the song, he'd been listening to his favourite album, which of course was Revolver by the Beatles. And when they finished recording the album Setting Sun, he asked the engineer if he could record the album backwards and put it on cassette. And Weller then listened to the album, and there was a piece of vocal that he really liked, and that's why he wrote The Dreams of Children. He wrote The Dreams of Children around that piece of vocal. Of course, it was released as a double A side single along with Going Underground. So it was a lot of people ordered that single that it entered the UK charts at number 1.
Yep.
And the only other time that had happened prior to that was when Slade released Merry Christmas, Everybody in 1974. Very apt with us recording 73. This in the build-up to 73. In the build-up to Christmas. So there we go. The Dreams of Children. I think it's great. I just love the start of it. I love, the lyrics for me as well are brilliant. And you've already mentioned, it's on the Snap album. I think if I recall, I think that was the first time I'd heard it, because I don't think I bought that single. But I just think the lyrics are superb. Some great choruses, a great start, a great end, and another great song written by Paul John Weller.
Yeah, brilliant. Great choice. It sounds like we're going to have all different their choices, which is good. Kirk, what have you got at number 9?
Number 9, I have, just looking down my list, A Funeral Pyre. Just a single that, for me, I think it gets lost in the whole Jam collection. And I believe they played it, that was the encore on one of the tours as well. I don't know which one it would have been. So it was, I think, a rousing song. You always want to, leave the crowd wanting more. Yeah. But yeah, very dark. I just think it was a little bit of the moved away from that sound for a short while, obviously, and just produced one of the. I just think it's an excellent single. I just remember the video, just them standing round and stamping their feet. But to go back to what you were just saying there, I thought Dreams of Children was originally going to be was that not meant to be the A side and the Mucked Up, and they had to do had to do the two for going underground. Is that what happened there, or was that something I've just read?
Maybe. I don't know.
If somebody knows the answer, please get in touch and let us know.
Yeah, I think Dreams of Children was meant to be the A side, and something happened at the pressing, and then Going Underground got a double A side.
So anyway, that sort of Rain sound by the Beatles as well, doesn't it? But yeah,
well, the Beatles are all over it. But yeah, so Funeral Pyre number 9.
Right. Well, I've got a
side as well.
Great choice, by the way. I've got a choice of 2 here, and I'm debating which one to go with. Do I go with a happier one or the dark one? I'll go with a happy one because the rest are quite dark. So I'm going to go with Happy Together. The opening track off The Gift. It's pretty simple lyrics, just about a misunderstanding in a relationship or a reformed character. But I just love the way it kicks in. You know, they're now in Technicolor. You know those black white. This one's in Technicolor, and then the sort of pile in, and it's really drive and beat. It's really catchy. It's bright. The guitars are quite bright on it as well, and it's basically telling you this is a different sound by the Jam, because we're not going to be stale and do the same sound and carry on doing the same sounds. And when you do research it a little bit, and you see people going, oh, they weren't the same after such and such because they changed. Well, that's what music's all about. You can't just remain the same, otherwise it's really tedious. You've got to step out of your comfort zone and do something different. And well, I did. And Happy Together is the sort of one of the sort of starting grounds for that. Obviously, it's the beginning of the end, but it's absolutely brilliant, really catchy, short, just rhythmic, and it can get you dancing around the room. It's just a great song. It is what it is. Happy Together from The Gift. What a great tune. So if you don't know it, folks, go and check it out. It's magnificent. So that's my number 9. So Steve, what have you got at number 8?
Well, I went for Funeral Pyre as well, but that was my number 8. I love that song. I just loved everything about it. It's quite an unusual one because it's the only single that was co-written by the band.
Yeah.
And only the second song, which has writing credits for all 3 members. The other, which was, I think, music for The Last Couple, which is on the Sound Effects album. But yeah, this started as a jam in the studio between Rick Buckler and Bruce Foxton. Paul Weller didn't come into this song until a little bit later when they were putting it together. It doesn't appear on any of the band's studio albums. But I think it was in America, it did appear on the 5-track EP, which was the Jam, and that peaked at 176 on the Billboard 200 album chart.
Mad how we weren't big in America, isn't it?
It is crazy, absolutely crazy, isn't it? I just love everything about this. The B-side, Disguises, obviously it's a Who cover, but that was really good as well. Again, there was just something about the cover of this as well. I did try to find out who had designed the cover, and I couldn't find that out. But it's if you remember it again, it's a black and white single with this rather surreal bit of artwork on of this funeral pyre, bodies at the bottom of it, etc. But I mean, I remember this as a kid in 1981. Obviously, I was only 9. I remember, being over the moon that I could actually get away by saying a swear word while I was singing a song, I think, where they were themselves laughing. You know what I mean? So but it's just a really powerful song. And the video, of course, when you watch back at that was actually shot on Horsell Common near Woking, and it was a sand pit, which has got a bit of history. It actually featured in H.G. Wells'.
Yes, it did.
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds, which I studied when I did my first English degree. That was the book that I focused upon, that and The Time Machine. So I've wrote a 30,000 word essay on them. So
brilliant. But yeah, I mean, a great song, a great one. And again, I think it reached number 4 in the UK charts. Didn't get to number 1, but it was just a typical Jam song. Fantastic, really enjoyed it.
Brilliant, great song, great choice. Yeah, absolutely love it. Kirk, what have you got at number 8?
Number 8, I have Town Called Malice. Oh, it just keeps coming back. This, I mean, we've obviously watched the series that was on, a couple of years back, is it?
Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah,
and just bring it back in. It's amazing. I think different eras are going to listen to the song in a different way. for us, you know, with a jam, obviously we knew it was coming to an end, or the music was changing. There was something happening within the band. So, but when other people hear that, the Town Called Malice, they think, oh yeah, this is the jam. This is how they sound. And to us, it was almost like that sad moment with a hanky in your hand, you know, thinking, yeah, well, it's not going to last, is it? Or, you know, with the brass as well, really heavy on it. But yeah, lovely. I love it. It's a great song. Everybody knows it as well. Now it's probably one of the most popular jam songs. If you're in Sergeant Pepper's, not wearing your Gino hat. You know, it's kind of like one of those songs that I just love it. Very, very, very good, very popular, very bouncy, and just thunders along like most jam songs do. You know, not much time left for guitar solos or anything like that.
Yeah.
It just thumps away.
Yeah,
great song.
All Killer No Filler. You're great.
That's the one. That's it.
Good, great choice. Obviously, for my number 8, I've gone with Set the House Ablaze, which I just love. The guitar riff is magnificent. Sort of borrowed heavily, I would suggest, by Block Party later on, many, many years later.
Just going to mention that. As soon as I heard it, I was like, that's Set the House Ablaze. I can hear it all the way through it.
But it's a great song, and if a number of songs, and then maybe my choices as we go along here, have songs with regards to his views about right-wing indoctrination. And the songs are very political. It's about people brainwashed into being a member of a right-wing party. And obviously he's not very happy about it, and he expresses it so very forthrightly. The lyrics are magnificent. Again, the guitar, I've said already, is really catchy. I love the whistling on it as well. And it's got that sort of rhythmic march theme to it as well, doesn't it? So you've got all of that going on. And then the la la las as well at the end. So again, it's re-emphasizing that idea of a march of a group of people. But of course, he's really stipulating that he doesn't agree, you know, with any of that sort of thing. It's just fantastic. What a great song. And again, on sound effects, it's just a killer of a tune. So that's my number 8. Steve, what have you got number 7?
Number 7 is another song that got to number 4, another single. This time I do quite like the B-side as well. Absolute Beginners, brought out on the 16th of October 1981. It was named after the Colin McInnes novel of the same name. See, I've come prepared for you, Sid, because I know with your love for English books and books, I'm trying to pick. There's a little train of thought here.
Yeah, terrible film, mind you, but there you have it.
It was a terrible film, but the book was one of songwriter Paul Weller's favourites, of course. And he did pick it when he was on Desert Island Discs. There's another interesting fact from you. But yeah, I like this song. Again, just it's fast paced, and it's just one of those. It's one of those short jam classics again. You know, it doesn't even reach 3 minutes. This one feels like it's a lot longer, but it's only, you know, to 2 minutes 50. I think it came up at. And the B-side was a nice treat as well. Tales from the Riverbank,
great song.
Which again, you know, I think should have been an A-side.
2 different versions of it as well, aren't there? There's the slow version and the fast version of that. Both are good.
Yeah, I think that could have been an A-side and a single release on its own. There's no doubt about it. A bit of trivia. The song appeared on the soundtrack for the 1997 film Grosse Pointe Blank. And the video, if you've seen it, was filmed in and around Nomis Studios in Shepherd's Bush in London. And it was basically the band running around terrace streets in and around.
Literally running around.
Yeah, there's some bad running going on in that, I can tell you.
Well, they were chasing the camera and it was tied to the rear of a vehicle. I'm not sure you'd get away with that nowadays.
I like Red Butler's top that he's wearing.
That's great.
That's pretty much
yeah. But I mean, Absolute Beginners, another banger, another classic. And the one thing when you're doing this, and I think I said this last time we did a jam program, was that you're struggling to keep the 10 because you're thinking, oh, I'd like to get that in, I'd like to get that in. But yeah, Absolute Beginners definitely got to be in that top 10 for me.
Great song, love the intro to it. It's really sort of got a groove to it. Yeah. Fantastic choice. Kirk, what's your number 7?
Down in the tube station at midnight. Thank you very much. Probably, I think it's the first jam song that I learned all the lyrics to, so I was so chuffed with myself. Oh my God! Just from the start, I tell you one thing that stands out, and it was really strange because at the time, you're living at home with your mum and dad. I didn't live in the West End, Newcastle, anything like that. So, you know, living in Blade, and there wasn't much. But when he was talking about having his takeaway curry, we were like thinking, takeaway curry? You've got to go to Newcastle for a city town for that, you know? It was just like, so kind of that was one of the things that stood out in it. But what a great story. You know, he's telling just a story of what's happening, you know, to him as he's going down to this dark place with kind of no way out, and he can't escape, and he's going to get beaten up for his few pence that he's got on him, you know. But yeah, I absolutely love it. Love that song.
Absolute great song. It may feature later on. We shall see.
Right, that's all right.
Well, yeah, it's a great choice. Great choice. My number 7 is the last song, and that's Beat Surrender. I've basically gone with songs that I often play a lot, and this is one of the songs I play loads. It's just, yes, it's really poppy, but you know what? It's just brilliant. It was the last song they ever had. It got to number 1 for a couple of weeks. I can't remember whether it went straight in or it took a week or so. I don't remember now. But it's just fantastic. It's just really joyful. It's about people who are fake, basically, and you can sort of hear it. And the lyrics are about being a bit tired in life, and you can sort of tell that sort of reflects on what's happening with the jam. But I think it's just really catchy song, and I think the middle 8 is probably, along with Our House, the best middle 8 that I could think of. When the song obviously changes for a short section, I think it's just brilliant. I absolutely love the way it sort of transitions into it, and you've got Bruce doing that sort of slide thing on the bass, going up and down the neck on it, which is just fantastic. It's such a joyful song to such a sad moment. But the fact that the band are splitting up, you know, you got that real sort of conflict, because they clearly had probably at least one, maybe 2 more great albums left in them. But hey, we will never know. That's just the way it works. So yeah, that's my choice here, number 7, and it was an EP as well, wasn't it, Kirk? It was about 5.
It was,
on it.
yeah, a 5-track, was it?
Yeah.
1, 2,
so
3.
Move On Up, if I remember rightly, was on it, which I'd never
Move
heard
On
of at
Up.
the time.
Stoned out of my mind. Shopping, Beat Surrender, War.
Yeah. So, and War, and again, I knew War, and they did an all right version of War until you hear the original, which is unbelievable, by Edwin Starr. But then I have to say their version of Move On Up was great. I thought it was a super version. Very, very impressive. So yeah, Beat Surrender, absolute classic. So Steve, what have you got at number 6?
Well, I'll give you the lyrics for the opening gambit of this. Times were so tough, but not as tough as they are now. We were so close, and nothing came between us and the world. No personal situations. Thick as Thieves. A song.
Stay together for all time.
Yeah, by Paul Weller, and this song really, this has stuck with me. Setting Suns, you know, is my favorite jam album. This is the jam at the best, at the intellectual best, I think. And the messages that come through in this album are brilliant. I mean, it's, you know, All Mod Cons, of course, is my other favorite. My top 2 albums. But yeah, Setting Suns is it's just very, very special, and it's Weller at his best, and probably the best person to tell you what the song was about is Paul Weller himself. And he did an interview a few years ago now where he talked about this particular song. And he says, often when I'm writing, I'm not conscious of what I'm doing after I've started with the bare bones of an idea. He said, this probably took a few hours of intensive writing and an evening maybe. When I get into that state, it's almost like automatic writing where I'm connected to something I don't understand, out of my control. He says, this lyric was central to the concept of Setting Suns. The lives of 3 mates who head in different directions. It was inspired by the original group, me, Steve Brooks and Dave Waller, who started the jam as kids. We set ourselves apart from everyone. We thought we were special. We were going to rule the world. But of course, people change and friendships dissipate. I think that really sums up Thick as Thieves. The song itself is great, as you say. You can find it on the Setting Suns album, but that's just, it's an integral part of that album, and a great song.
Yeah, lovely, and we're not as thick as we used to be. Well, great lyric, great line.
I love the bass. He slides the bass. Yeah. Like you get that sort of yeah, brilliant track.
Top draw choice.
10 out of 10, mate.
Yeah, it is. Kirk, what have you got at number 6?
Number 6, That's Entertainment. I think a song that Well, it was an import, so that was strange at the time. Is it one of the biggest selling imports of all time, or the second one? Because the Jam had two. Who was the 5 o'clock hero?
Yeah.
And that. So I don't know if that's entertainment outshone it. Again, I just talking about life, what's outside, what we're actually witnessing, but he just puts it perfectly to all, he kind of in an understandable way. You can still listen to it today. I was in the Blackie Boy a couple of weeks back, and it came on the jukebox. And
you got all the salubrious places, Kirk. Come on.
It was there was literally 4 people in. Anyway, there was this guy, and he was determined that he was going to dance and jump up and down in the bar around. It was quite early on as well, but he was. It sort of brings back that memory to it all, and I love the lyrics all the way through. Super song, and it just to me epitomizes the Jam. Really, it's everything that the Jam are. It's working class. It's British. It's that type of thing. And when we're talking, the Jam never made it in America. Pretty Green, they don't know what Pretty Green is. They don't know a lot of the terms. There's so many bands like that, but that's why the mod thing is British. It's ours. Thank you, and we're keeping it forever.
He creates little vignettes, doesn't he? Like little picture postcards that you could you can imagine, and they're just beautifully put together. Very intelligent man, very, very intelligent. Great. That's a great choice, and he still plays it live. I mean, I saw him about 4 weeks ago at the Hammersmith Apollo in London, and he did that, and he did Town Called Malice as well. Honestly, when he started off that entertainment, the roof almost came off. It was brilliant. He was fantastic. He was really funny as well. He did a Ziggy Stardust reference as well. That was quite funny. Half the crowd didn't get it. Well, I was chuckling away. I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, he's just top man, top man. Well, my number 6, we've already had it, and it's Funeral Pyre. It's just brilliant. Again, a political tune linked back to sort of Nazi Germany with references to burning of books. Mad eyes bulge, their flushed faces said, the weak get crushed as the strong go stronger. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll give you that.
It's got a post-punk rhythm that could easily be like sort of Gang of Four. So it's got that sort of Gang of Four wire sort of sound to it as well. It's really intense, really heavy. I don't think they ever did a sound like this again on any other song. This is possibly as heavy as they got.
It's really, really dark. And then, as I say, I'm absolutely positive they put it as the encore, and the final encore, like the final song as the left. So it's kind of leaving you with this picture of, I don't know if what's to come, or I don't know. It's a strange song, but
it's a great song. It just drives. I love the drum and all that, and then he does the toms bit, and there's a bit of, weirdly, it's really heavy. It's really sort of almost claustrophobic, yet at times it's got space. It's a really bizarre constructed song, and then you got Weller with a over the top guitar. He's driving up on it. I think it's just magnificent. Playing wise, it's just tremendous. Never spoken about enough. It's a great post-punk song. This is really proper post-punk, which they didn't do much of, but that's definitely one of them. So yeah, Funeral Pyre for me, number 6. Just a great tune. Fantastic. Again, Weller sort of having a go again at the idea of the right wing and all the rest of it. His lyrics are magnificent. So yeah, that's my number 6. Steve, what you got number 5?
Number 5, well, this song tells the story of a commuter travelling from Woking to London on a busy train. He's a very loyal worker. He's reliable to his company, but one day he turns up at work and his boss wants to see him alone. Smithers Jones, and a rare offering from Bruce Foxton, of course, who wrote Smithers Jones, and he said it was a heartfelt song. I promoted from the Jam for 6 years down at the old O2 that was on Westcott Road, and I spent many an hour having a chat with Bruce backstage about various songs and various lyrics, and this one again, because it's one of my favourites, I did get a chance to speak to him about it, and it was about an experience that his dad had been through. And that's why he said there was a lot of anger in the song, because it came from, personal experience, you know, that lots of people work hard, you know, they're loyal to a company, but then eventually they find that they're past their sell-by date and that loyalty just doesn't matter anymore. And that had happened to his dad. And I think that the one thing about this song that stands out for me is the lyrics are great. This was probably one of the first songs, the Jam songs, that I'd learned as well, that I can remember singing on a regular basis. But I think what this song really tells me is that Foxton should have wrote more for the Jam. I mean, he went on to have, you know, probably a successful career. There's no doubt about it. But you know, had he managed to stay together with Weller, you know, a la McCartney and Lennon had, you know, for all those other albums, you know, like you said at the top of the show, what we could have had, who knows, you know, the back catalogue's great as it is, but we could have had so much more, and Bruce could have probably penned a lot more songs. But love the song. Great message, as a lot of Jam songs do. Captures an era, you know, that the song was written in, but could easily be adapted, like a lot of the Jam songs, to what goes on in modern day. We haven't really progressed. Things are still like that. You know, there's no such thing as loyalty. And you know, the only person smiling is the suntan boss, said.
Yeah, it is a great song. I once saw him do it with Stiff Little Fingers many years ago at the Mayfair.
I was there
Yeah.
at that gig.
Yeah, great gig as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, great tune. Well done. Excellent choice. I mean, he did write some belters. He did actually write some real belters, I have to say. Kirk, what have you got in at number 5?
Number 5, Beat Surrender. Again, well, for a sad time, it's just a great song. I think thoroughly. Again, I'd love to know if we did this thing about the Jam, how long their singles actually last. Which one was the shortest and which was the longest? Probably something like In the City must be pretty close to being one of the shortest singles. But all that songs seem to last, to me, about 3 minutes. They're like, they cram everything you need to know into that short space of time. Again, and you get so much from it as well. You get the, you know, you get the rhythm, you get the lyrics. We all know that. So as I say, Beat Surrender, classic. And I think when we're doing the Jam, we've talked about this a million times. It's knocking out which are your favourites. Which kids are we going to leave in the burning house, and which one are we going to save? So there you go.
Great choice. Hard to disagree. My number 5, again, this is another one from Sound Effects, and I've gone with Scrape Away, which is a bit of probably an unusual choice for some. I think it's the last song on the album as well, isn't it? And again, and I'm sorry about harping on about this, but it's not me who wrote the song. It's again having a dig at sort of saying that you know you don't have to become right wing as you get older. You don't have to suddenly transform into a Tory or whatever it may be. You can still keep those ideals that you have when you're young and you're angry and all that. And he's still sort of he's saying that, you know, he will be that person when he's older. He'll not be this sort of person who's transformed. He will remain sort of true to himself as a young person, which he has done, which he actually has done. And I think it's fantastic. Again, I love the music on it. I love the unusual beat that they throw in it as well. It's not a straight 4/4. It does have a sort of unusual beat. It's got a really great drive and rhythm, and it's almost like sort of staccato at times. It's unusual. And the band are brilliant. It's a great final tune, if I recall rightly. It is the last track. Again, fits in with the idea of being post-punk. Again, that fits in with that sort of image. It's got a real, almost sort of landscape feel to it. When I listen to it, I almost imagine being in a car listening to it, and I'm driving along. It's got something along those lines to it. To me, I absolutely love it. So yeah, that's my number 5, which is Scrape Away. So Steve, what have we got at number 4?
Number 4, we've gone back to Setting Suns, Saturday as Kids, which really became an anthem for football fans up and down the country. And this one is just another great punchy jam song with some great lines in it. I mean, Saturday's girls work in Tesco's and Woolworths, wear cheap perfume because it's all they can afford. And one of my favourite lines: go to discos, they drink baby sham, talk to Jan in bingo accent. It's just it painting the picture. That's what is done so well with these lyrics, and just little one-liners that he comes out with, and it just captures that. It captures their childhood, I guess, and being with the lads and being out. And I think it was just an anthem for me and the lads when we were young. One of those kind of songs that when you'd go to the pubs in town before the match, you'd go to the jukebox at the Farmer's Rest on Haymarket.
Yeah, Farmer's great.
You'd go and stick your favorite jam songs on, and this was probably one of the most played ones, along with all the other classics. But this was it's a great song, and just again, it deserves for me to be in the top 5 of this particular 10.
It's a proper lads song.
It is
completely. There's no disputing it. It is male bond, male bonding totally. It's a fantastic song.
Yeah, I mean the other like Saturday's boys, was it Live Life?
We are there, one on bandits.
Drink lots of beer and wait for half-time results.
That's it, aye.
It's what we do.
Aye.
Again, it would be lost in America, wouldn't it? But
definitely, definitely.
And it's got the la 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 la. It's got everything, hasn't it?
Brilliant, yeah. Proper Ray Davies type of lyric.
Oh,
fantastic, brilliant, great choice. Number 5 there. Kirk, what have you got in? Sorry, number 4. Kirk, what have you got in number 4?
Oh, hey. Well, this song, it was the first time I probably heard the jam, and I'm not sure if the album was called 20 of Another Kind, something like that. Or 20 of a something. Yeah. Definitely the word 20 in.
Yeah.
Strange Town.
Of a different kind. It was the one with the punk on the front.
Yeah. Was it that one? Oh, it was something like that. Anyway, Strange Town with Butterfly Collector on the B-side as well. So Strange Town. So the first time I'd heard the jam, and it's one of those non-album singles as well, which again, it's like Funeral Pyre, where to be a jam fan, you kind of automatically know this song, and it was, I like the way they didn't put a lot of the singles, onto the albums automatically, or maybe there was something changed about them, but again, a great story. You can kind of picture what's happening as he's singing the lyrics. Found himself in a strange town, only been there for a few weeks now. Bought an A to Z guidebook. I mean, we have Google Maps now, so you know what I mean. how could you possibly get lost? So yeah, I really enjoy hearing this song. And I went back and heard, I just played them again, and I just thought, yeah. Still love it a bit. And Butterfly Collector for the B-side, which it still plays now today. What can you say? A great song. No, love it a bit.
Great choices. It's hard to argue otherwise, isn't it? They're absolute belters. My number 4, we've already done it, but that's entertainment. Again, as I said, it's that, paints a picture postcard, magnificent lyrics. He was the people's poet. There's no doubt about it. We can all sing along to it. It's just a belter of a song. It's really catchy chorus as well. I mean, it's a stupid little chorus, but it just works really simple. It's one of those songs as well, if you ever play it and sing it live, which you do on occasions, there's only about 3 chords in the whole song. But it's one of those songs where everybody knows as soon as you go, and everyone knows where it is. But there's only, like, as I say, 2-3 chords, and that's literally it. There's nothing much more to it than that.
What? So even you could play it?
Even I can play it. So, even I can play it and sing it. And so it's just one of those, and everybody sings along. It's an easy winner, really. But as I say, he still does it, and it just takes the roof off the place. And it was funny because when I saw him the last time round, and it was quite funny because he goes, I wrote this last one a long time ago. 1980, and he goes, in fact, I think it's a classic. And then so we all started laughing, and then he did the opening chord, and I say the whole roof went off, hooray, so yeah, fair dues to him. He is right, it is a classic. And it's hard to put them in any order, really. You could throw these up in the air at times and just pick whichever, you know. But I went with this just because lyrically it's so fantastic. It's so ahead of everybody else at the time. Just brilliant. So yeah, that's my number four. That's entertainment. Steve, what do you got number three?
Number three is a song that had a bit of a resurgence in 2011 because of a political argument. David Cameron came out and said this was one of his favourite songs when he completely misunderstood what the song was all about. The Eton Rifles, of course, is a song recorded by the Jam, written by Paul Weller, and was the only song to be released as a single from the album that I continue to talk about today, Setting Suns. And it became the band's first top 10 hit, which it peaked at number 3. The B-side of this was Seesaw, and it's just a great song. It's a jam anthem, isn't it? Really, it's a song which everybody listens to, and again, it's another one that probably is on a lot of people's football playlists, whether you're getting on the bus with the lads or whether you're jumping in the car with your mates, or sticking it on your headphones and your iPhones when you're walking to the match. It's one of those that gets you up for the up for the game. But
It'll come on just straight after Dog Eat Dog by Adam and the Ants.
But yeah, I mean, a great song. It was ranked at number 1 among the top tracks of the year for 1979 by NME, as well, which again is a great endorsement. That kind of stuff was happening with the Jam on a regular basis by then. So for them to get that kind of accolade, certainly put them in their place at the top of the pedestal, and rightly so. And it was included in the list, The Story of NME in 70 Seminal Songs, at number 16. So it certainly had an effect on the wider news, the wider music audience. But brilliant, a brilliant song. And again, it's a jam anthem, isn't it, for me?
Yeah, it's just brilliant. And what can you say? Eating rifles. Yeah, Cameron clearly didn't understand.
No, he got it so wrong. Because he thought he was saying that it motivated the lads in the rugby clique, and there was that's not what the song's about at all. So different people's how dare you? I would have gotten his tie and tightened it right around his neck.
Not that we condone violence on this channel, folks. Kirk, what have we got at number 3?
Number 3. Oh, hey man, When You're Young. Just another non-album single, and with Smithers Jones with the guitar version. So I absolutely love Smithers Jones as well. Yeah. So going to the B-side, they said that Rick Butler, he was the one that kind of came up with the idea for the string version on the album, and I just wonder how that came about. I don't, Steve, do you know what happened there? Why the big change?
No, I don't. No, it's an interesting one. That it's one of those I'll have to look into, I think.
Yeah, really, really. Because I mean, I love the song. Actually, I do. I think because I'd heard the album version far more, I prefer that. But still, I mean, the string version, you can imagine how raw it is. But yeah. When You're Young, I just love it. It takes you back to a time, doesn't it? It's saying when you're young. But he was young at the time as well, but it's as if all the mistakes you make, which I think a lot of the songs are about, just telling you these little things that, you're going to have to grow up, and, everything about it is kind of almost saying that's then, and then this is now. So I don't know if even then he was preparing himself for this next move. So saying, I can't live like this forever, I'll sing about it. I can do me, these. And the lyrics were fantastic and will always remain there. But there was this new beginning going to happen, and as we found out within a matter of years, that was it. It all happened. So, yeah, When You're Young.
Brilliant. Love it. What a choice. Great choice. Well, my number 3 would probably be number 1. But I've gone with Going Underground. I first heard this weirdly. I was playing football on the field, as you do when you're a kid. And one of the lads was walking along and he had a ghetto blaster, bizarrely, in 1980. And I just heard the first chorus, and I thought, what the hell's that? And then I listened to the rest of the song whilst when I'd stopped playing football for a second to listen to the song, and I just thought, wow, that's fantastic. And of course, it went straight in at number one, and they cancelled the American tour, didn't they? Which, in hindsight, was probably not a good thing. It's just a brilliant song with, I think, and it never gets mentioned enough. This intro for me is as good as Back in Black by AC/DC, which is fantastic, may I add. I just think it's an underrated introduction on the guitar, and people never talk about it enough. It is so powerful. Again, it's about Weller talking about governments and warmongering, and they'd rather spend monies on rockets and bombs rather than on, as he says, killing machines and all the rest of it in the NHS. So he's obviously having a go politically, but it's lyrically fantastic, really brilliant. And I loved his sort of banter. And he goes, "Oh, is there any song you'd like to get buried to?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, Going Underground,"
Yeah.
which I thought was very funny. It's a bit like Madness being buried to One Step Beyond, isn't it? So I thought, at least he shows he's got a sense of humor. I thought that was funny. But I mean, Going Underground, it's, as you say, it was the first song since Slade to go in at straight in at number one. And in those days, you had to sell a lot of records to get to number one. So to go straight in at number one, it shows you in the UK, they were the biggest band in the country at that point. I mean, the biggest band in the world possibly at that time was maybe the Police, because they were massive in America as well as the UK. But in the UK, it was definitely the Jam, without a shadow of a doubt. They were just enormous. So yeah, Going Underground, it could easily be number one because it's some days it is. It just depends on the day that you go with it. And today, I did be listening. Went, yeah, I'll go with Going Underground at 3, but could be number one. Steve, what have you got at number 2?
And number 2, Down in the Tube Station at Midnight, which, doing my research, I was surprised to see was originally written as a long poem by Paul Weller. Apparently, there was more lyrics to this originally. He was going to do it as a bit of a play for today, set to music. But he admitted later that he's glad he did what he did, and it was essentially the first song that made people sit up and take the Jam seriously. It was a song about his own paranoia, about being a suburban kid moving up to the big city and having to watch his arse, as he described it, every time he went out. He wanted to leave this off the album, All Mod Cons, which again surprised me when I was reading through the notes that I found online. He didn't feel that the song and the arrangement had been developed sufficiently during the recording sessions, but he was persuaded to put it onto the album by the record producer Vic Coppersmith Heaven. The song obviously, was brilliant, and a really, really, a really important song, I guess, in the Jam's history. And again, another one which is very descriptive, and the lyrics about, especially about the people, the gang of men who attack the person, in the song, smelling like pubs and wormwood scrubs and too many right-wing meetings. I mean, a wonderful descriptive, way with words again from Paul Weller. And I guess with this song as well, you can feel the tension and you can feel it heighten as the song goes on. The sentimental lyrics in there. There's a lovely contrast from happier times to then being attacked on the tube. But it's all in a day living in the big city. Some little points as well. The sound of the underground train at the beginning of the song, which is great. That was recorded at St John's Wood Station. The front cover photograph, which bizarrely, I mean, it's just your mind. You probably think, oh, it's probably taken at the same place. It wasn't. It was taken at Bond Street Tube Station, right, on the westbound Central line. So that's where that photograph of the lads was taken. And anyone who bought the single will, of course, remember the late great Keith Moon is pictured on the back of the single. He died a month prior to the single's release. So this was their little tribute. And they, of course, included on there their version of "So Sad About Us," the Who song. So Down in the Tube Station at Midnight is my number 2.
Kirk, your number 2.
Okay. Number 2. Well, we're getting down to the songs that probably were all like absolutely loving. We've all seemed to include the same things here, and I've got the Eton Rifles, which was absolutely brilliant. Just recently, because I live very close to Heading on the Wall, so we went up to where the Hope was where the cadets are all sitting, and it's totally changed now. You haven't got the sign there or anything, so we've got what because I was very happy to do with that, but everybody else was just wondering what the hell I was doing, you know. Big cyclist, so you know what I mean. So, but yeah, eating rifles. So hearing that, obviously, Weller with his apron on, you know, going back to Top of the Pops. I mean, which we haven't really touched on much tonight, but I think I just started to realize like what's going on. You know, it's when you're really listening to music. And again, what you talked about before with Cameron, totally misunderstanding the song because it was the Jarrow Marchers. There was a crusade thing on, wasn't there? And then they got attacked by these toffs, and you know, again, the lyrics pretty much explain it, and you can tell that as it builds up to another scrap, and that's it. Again, it is lads' music, you know. It's like what really happened, but you know, we'll be back next week. You know, that's just what happens. You dust yourself down, and away you go again.
So why did you go to Heading to take a photograph? Do you want to explain that to people?
So on the front cover, if for Eating Rifles, if it's expanded and it has for the Setting Suns tour, you get the full picture on part of the poster. Heading on the wall is the cadets. It's like a rugby ball, kind of almost shaped the oval. So if that's expanded, it's actually heading on the wall where the cadets are sitting down.
Brilliant.
So, but that bit of the wall, it's now it's kind of like somebody's house, and they've changed the wall. We drive into the house, so we were kind of loitering around. But yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Great stuff. Well, my number two, again, already been done. It's Down in the Tube Station at Midnight, which the story's very clear, told in the first person narrative. And Steve mentioned about somebody being attacked by right-wing thugs. It's got quite a scary ending as well, because it goes, you don't know whether later on in the story, whether the wife's also being attacked as well or going to be, because it says, I glanced back on my life and thought about my wife because they took the keys and she thinks it's me. And you're thinking, oh, that's really dark. Is he dead? And now he's looking back or about to die. And it's got other things that you can sort of read into it. It's very, very dark song. But again, I think this might be the first one that I ever sort of remember by the Jam. I remember it being in the middle school at the time, and other people suddenly talking about them and getting into them. It was like 1978, and everybody was going, "Oh, you know, there's this band, and have you heard this? Or have you got Down in the Tube Station at Midnight?" And it was like that was the first time that I sort of remember hearing them. And yeah, it's just a great song with a dead catchy chorus, of course, and a brilliant song, brilliant
The
lyrics.
live version is absolutely superb.
Brilliant, and the live version with the crowd singing.
Drum. Oh, it's just absolutely superb.
No, yeah, puts your hair on edge, and also, of course, is the fact that the bass line is fantastic. You know, Bruce just jumps out on that song. He's so good on it, so different to some of the bass players of that time. He's so got such a distinct sound. So brilliant, brilliant, brilliant song. Steve, what's your number one then?
I don't think it'll be a surprise to you because you and I know each other well. My favourite Jam song is Private Hell. And again, it's on the Setting Suns album. And it's probably, again, a bit of an obscure one for some people watching the show.
I've just left it off my list there. That was my joint number 9, and that's what I was saying before. I had two choices. Go on.
I just love this song. It's just a great, great song. It's the opening. I think the opening gets you straight away. You know, the way that the musically build this song up to, you know, to then the first lyrics, closer than close, you see yourself, a mirrored image of what you want it to be. I mean, again, it just gets you thinking. That's what the Jam did. They made you think. There were in those early days, they were guitar heavy, they were brash, they were arrogant, they were telling a message, they were the youth of the day, making sure that we had our opinions put across. But they were also very, very good at telling a story about things. And again, the one thing I like about doing this podcast is that it gets you that opportunity to go and have a little look at the lyrics and what was he actually meaning by this, and what was the idea behind it. and I love it when it's something just completely off the cuff. This was a song that was written because there were two songs short for Setting Sun's album. And basically, he sat in an office. He remembered sitting in an office in a chair. This was an interview that he did with Mojo magazine, and he basically said, I had two songs to put together. He said, I wrote Private Hell and Girl on the Phone on the same day. And he says, we ended up still being short because of the length of the tracks that were written. He says, that's why they added Martha and the Vandellas Heat Wave onto the album. Yeah. But he basically wrote this song, and he just got the idea into his mind of a middle-aged woman who was glum, who was floating through her life on Valium. And he said, that was his starting point. He took that starting point and then he just exaggerated it. He built on it. He almost visualized her as a beaten down woman who was unhappy. And from his perspective, it was her private hell. I remember an interview he did only a couple of years ago, and he said he that's one of those songs he looks back on now and says, I could never write a song as harsh as that now. He said it's not that he didn't feel empathy for the mother in the song. He wouldn't use that type of language anymore. He would use softer language and different words, but that was the young Paul Weller. That was the Paul Weller we all loved. And it's a great song. And again, it's on that album. And Setting Suns plays a big part in my jam life. When you sit writing down the songs that you like, it's always those two albums, although there has been one or two from elsewhere. But for me, that is my number one jam song.
Great choice, great imagery in it, really powerful, isn't it, when it kicks in? Fantastic song.
Girl on the Phone as well. God,
yeah.
What a track. Can you imagine they said, Paul, you need 8 songs to finish the album? What do you imagine when he could have come out with it? Get in.
Girl on the Phone, that's one of my honorable mentions. I absolutely love Girl on the Phone.
It's
and that could have easily made my top 10. The lyrics are funny, and I love the bit, hello. It's a great song.
Who was the woman? Do we know?
I don't know.
She keeps ringing back.
Kirk, what's your number one?
I've got a clue.
Go on, Kirk.
Number one, well, the song that really sums up everything about the jam for me, Going Underground. I think it was just, as you say, we've all talked about what they meant to were, how they were so different, how they were pushing on from every other band. They left every other band in a wake. There was nothing quite like it, and it was just the power. And as you say, the intro, as soon as you hear it, there's no mistake, and it's not like as if it sounds anything like anything that was around at the time or anything that was previous to it. It is just absolutely full on. The story, Spray and Cheap, I still don't know what exactly that means, but we'll sing it, and just love it. With Dreams of Children as well, which we talked about again. It's a fantastic B side, well, double A side, and if it was to be the A side, well, I think Going Underground was worthy, and it brought them to the attention of everybody. So the Going Underground for me, my absolute favourite. But as I say, I kind of misread the text at the start. So anyway, you've got singles from me.
It don't really matter. Great choice. Obviously, great choice. Great choice. Well, I've gone with what I consider to be the national anthem, and I've gone with The Town Called Malice. And the reason why I picked it is because it's one of those songs that everybody knows, and my kids sing along to it, and they both love it. And you're thinking, there's a song that's properly sort of crossed over everywhere. And it's just so catchy. The lyrics are magnificent. He tends to do it as the last song of an encore, where the whole crowd are going absolutely bonkers at this point. And it is just a great song with very deep lyrics. Yeah, it's also feel good in a bizarre sort of way, even though the lyrics aren't. It was originally influenced heavily by Madness's Embarrassment. So while I said he loved Embarrassment so much, he wanted to come up with his own version of something that had that Motown groove and have that sort of feel. And with it being a big Madness fan as well as he is, and he obviously came up with Town Called Malice. And now you're thinking, wow, that's some comeback because it's probably as good as Embarrassment, which is an incredible song in itself.
My
And you think
favorite
that's
Madness song. I think I used
yeah,
to think Night Boat to Kerry was, but Embarrassment is
yeah,
just
yeah.
so good.
It's so good, and you're thinking, "Wow, to match a song as great as that, that's some achievement." But as I say, for me, it's the song that everybody seems to like, and it just it embodies a time, but it's moved on from then, and others, as I say, are able to sort of take it and accept it. You put that on at the match, and you can
Yeah.
see everybody going ba 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 da, ba, at the halftime or whatever. Everybody just knows it, irrespective of age, whether you're 80 years of age or whether you're 8 years of age. Everybody knows it, and it's just a masterpiece. It really is by, for me, the people's poet at that time. What a great tune. So there we go, folks. There's 10 quite different tunes in some cases. We picked some belters. Do we have any honourable mentions? Steve, what other songs would spring to mind there very quickly there?
I mean, you guys have picked out some really good songs, you know. I mean, Start, though, you know, I did love Start. It was one of those, that's entertainment, is another song that you can probably pick out of there. Running on the Spot,
Yeah,
another
yeah,
song which, you know, we're just the next generation of the emotionally crippled, which is a great line. But, you know, the one thing about the Jam is just that back catalogue. I loved Modern World.
yeah.
Kirk
I love
mentioned that,
Modern World. Yeah,
mentioned that earlier. Yeah, but there's so many. You can pick so many out. Whilst you were talking, I did have a little look to see whether we could find out who the woman was on the phone. No,
nobody.
no, nothing on that. Although there is an interesting statement by a Jam fan who says that they felt that the song was based on a woman called Miranda Grosvenor, who was it was a fictitious name of an elusive Louisiana woman who enchanted dozens of famous men with sweet telephone talk. She apparently rang lots of celebrities, including Eric Clapton, Billy Joel, Bob Dylan, Richard Gere, Robert De Niro, leaving messages on the answering machine, but nobody ever found out who she was.
Wow.
And a lot of the famous people mentioned this woman, but never ever met her. Crazy story. But if anybody knows, leave it in the comments below. Who
That's a
was the
great
woman
story.
on?
That's a bonkers story. That's a great story. I love that. Kirk, what choices have you? What other things would you
I,
pick?
I think I'd go for all mod cons.
Yeah,
As in 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, when it actually
yeah,
starts, it's
yeah.
just absolutely. To me, all mod cons was my favorite album. It just gets you ready for the album. It's like, right, you better hold on here because
Yeah.
you're going to get something. You know, it's going to be the ride of your life, and it just gets you so ready. I think the guy out of Blair, who's the guitarist,
Graham Coxon.
Coxon. I'm sure he covered it as well.
Right.
Which you could expect because obviously it's got massive mod links in. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there's
brilliant.
loads of there's tons.
Well, I mean, we could go on forever because we'll just remember stuff and we'll think,
Yeah.
oh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think so. Some of the sound effects as well. Man in the Corner Shop.
yeah. Wow. Great song. Yeah. Great song actually. Yeah. I mean, I've got other things. Private Hell was the one that was the closest for me. I've got
Yeah.
other things that I like daft songs. Like I love Billy Hunt. You know.
Yeah.
I just think it's great. All around the world. This is the modern world.
Monday.
Yeah, just
Oh baby,
just
dreaming.
belters. There's so many. I mean, Ghost, it's just
Yeah.
fantastic. There's just Carnation. There's so many great songs. So, folks, send in your list. Let us know your thoughts. And thanks for watching. As I said before, subscribe to the channel. So, from Steve, Kirk, and myself, take care. Look after yourself.